Hey, it's Deborah Atkinson, and I'm here with some core exercises that are not going to look like core exercises. Here's why. Right away, when we say core exercise, everybody wants something that they're going to feel. We still have that idea that if we feel a burn, it must be better. False information. 1980 called, wants that back, but I know it's hard to let go of if it's in here. But what I want to try and convince you of is that if you don't have mobility already there before you try to add strength to those abdominal muscles, you're going to do yourself a disservice because you're only going to be able to strengthen within the mobility that you have. So the goal is eventually we have mobility and we've got it at a level that is satisfying for our personal range of motion biomechanics, and we've got strength developed from doing smart, intelligent core exercises that don't hurt. We marry the two, and that gives us what we call stability. That is the goal, whether we're talking about your biceps, your triceps, your arms, your legs, any part of you, but certainly for core, because that is central. That is central to you developing muscle strength, muscle endurance, bone density, doing anything else that you love to do. So let's do this. A little bit of core exercise that won't potentially feel like core exercise. So what I'd love for you to do is just get on a mat on all fours. If for some reason you can't get on your knees, you can do this standing. Put your hands in a chair, but still trying to accomplish this head to tailbone straight line. So for a moment at least. So what we're going to do is a cat-cow back. So those of you who do yoga and practice, you know what I'm doing. So what I want you to do is feel that your lower back is arching. Drop the floor out of the core. So you're going to let it all hang out. I know we don't do that very much. We get self-conscious, right? We feel like we're always holding it in. I want you to let it go. So you're going to take a deep breath in here. Lift your sternum forward so you're actually getting a stretch through the core, and then exhale. Tuck the tailbone down, tuck the crown of the head down, push the floor away, and then come back. Inhale, and then exhale. Tuck your tailbone down, push the floor away. This should feel like a crunch, but what we're not doing is putting any strain on your neck or your lumbar spine to get you there. Exhale, tailbone down, crown of your head down, and again, come back, and you're in an inhale here, and then you're going to exhale. Push the floor away, tailbone down, push, 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 and release and relax. Good, just a few is all it takes. So we're going to take your left fingertips. I'm going to turn my left hand in. I'm going to reach underneath with my right and actually drop my shoulder and head down to the floor. So I'm just really resting, no pressure on my neck. However, knees are down. I'm going to move this left hand out so it's just above my right wrist. So I'm going to inhale, and on the exhale, I'm going to push this hand down into the floor like I'm going to do a push-up. The goal is just to create tension, and my knees are staying down. So I'm going to feel that tension here if I need to stretch. Now, if you're already very mobile, maybe you already do a lot of yoga, or you simply are naturally, genetically, kinesthetically very mobile, you may not feel a huge stretch here. You'll feel it if you need it. Inhale, release the pressure, and exhale, do one more, press down. So it's very gentle, but we're working on spinal rotation at specifically your lower back. Now you're gonna be able to see it from my back. As I come in, I'm gonna come back up, and I'm gonna do it to the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and turn away from you. So fingertips pointing in. I'm gonna take my left hand, take it down, so you can see my shoulder and head resting on the ground. I'm gonna take this right hand, put it in front of my left wrist or over my watch. Inhale here, and then on an exhale, I'm gonna push. And you can't see that I'm really pushing, but I'm now feeling a bigger stretch right here across my lower back. I'm gonna take one more breath in. On an exhale, I'm gonna push into the floor. And I'm gonna bring that hand back in and bring it back up. Good, nice. Now that one, you don't need to repeat. So you're just fine doing what we just did. For this one, you may or may not want to take your shoes off, depending on if they're uncomfortable for you, to sit kind of like this. So your legs turning around you in a fan, all right, is basically what you're doing. So I want you to be able to grasp this ankle or lower leg, your shin, easily. And I want you to take a deep breath in. You're gonna reach this hand to the ceiling. So I want you to get length first. Up, 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 inhale. And on the exhale, reach over to the side. So we always wanna stretch longwise first and then get the stretch within that length. We're gonna bring this hand down. We're gonna do the opposite here. So reach up, inhale. And then with your exhale, I want you to push your hips off the floor. And so I'm really pressing that hip out and away. So I'm leaning back, almost getting a little arch to my back, a little bit of a side. And then release and come down. And we'll do both those again. So hand comes here. Inhale to reach up first. And then exhale, come over. And you may feel like there's just a stopping point, right? Like you can't go any further, and that's okay. And then relax, take the other one up. Press the hip out. And release. Swing your legs around to the opposite side. So just staggering them. This one comes down. So if I've got any old cheerleaders, wrestling cheerleaders out here, you know what I'm talking about. Here we are. Lift up and exhale. Pull yourself over here. Feeling the range of motion, and it's really helpful. You may want to take a picture of yourself doing this, even a video, to look at how far you can go right now if you've never done this before, and how far, if you do this regularly, you increase your range of motion, your ability to go in a lateral stretch. Because the more flexible your spine is, in flexion, extension, and lateral flexion, the healthier you are. Inhale, reach up, and exhale. And then back, hand comes down, push that hip through, bring this up and over. If there's any challenge here being on your knees, one of my knees here is a little bit more touchy than the other. You might want to have some padding or a pillow or a blanket underneath you. And then relax. Nice. Now, again, we're gonna go cross-legged, so I will echo that. If you feel like you're limited by range of motion by your shoes, take them off. Mine are kind of loose and very flexible, so I'm gonna leave them on. I'm comfortable, but I want you to take one hand, goes right behind your back, and you're using it to press yourself up. So you're just kind of propping up. So we've got a really long spine. My right hand goes to the outside of my left leg. I'm gonna sit tall, and then I'm gonna exhale and rotate. Now I'm not going as far back as I possibly can this time, just a little ways, so I'm feeling it, kind of emphasizing my thoughts down here lower. Inhale again to get more length, and then exhale, rotate just a little bit further. And do one more, lift and exhale, and really this time turn all the way back. And release. So great for rotation, whenever you're doing some kind of a rotation, when you're stretching in any way, but particularly it's associated with yoga. Hand on the outside of your leg, inhale, and then exhale and rotate. It increases or assists with digestion. That is actually going to help you have more range of motion, feel like you're a little bit more in control and in tune with your core. And inhale. And likewise, that plays back as well. The more strength, muscle tone you have in your core, generally your digestion is probably also going to increase. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to face the opposite direction here. Feet come down. Just going to bring this back, and I want you to notice I'm going to lift my hips up on a quick lift. Feet stay hip width apart. So if I put my hands here, these are kind of my hip bones, right? So I want my knees straight down from that. Don't let them go out to the side. Now sometimes our inner thighs are a little bit weak. These guys are not really paying attention, but if you make yourself stay here, parallel, parallel, and feet also parallel, now you have better alignment. You're thinking a little bit more consciously about the outside and the inside of the thigh, keeping them in alignment, and that's important. So I'm also making sure I'm not allowing my lower back to drop down and arch, but I'm turning my pubic bone or my pelvis toward my knees. When you do that, your lower back suddenly will be released. It's not under pressure because you've got your glutes turned on, which should be on, and you're feeling potentially a little bit more stretch through your hip flexors up here. Okay, and release. Roll over to the side to bring yourself up. It's a little bit easier on your body than rolling straight up the center. And you may have gotten away with that for decades, but as we roll straight up the middle, we put a little bit more pressure on that lumbar spine, and we really never know when we're gonna have a problem till after we do. So don't cause one. All right, hope that was helpful. I hope you actually feel just a little bit more loose, mobile. You may notice you feel much more comfortable in your hips the rest of the day, a little less tight, because if we release your lower back, which should be nice and relaxed, not tight, we're also impacting through the hips and somewhat through the upper back. So as we did our rotation, we're getting more mobility in your thoracic spine, and we're gonna call on your lower back a little bit less. Hope that was helpful. Now you wanna pair that up with strengthening and getting some muscle endurance into those core muscles. And I'll see you on the flip side.